Good evening, all. A warm welcome to all our viewers and participants. I'm your host for today, Hina Ansari, and it is my immense pleasure to have our speaker, Mr. Sheshu sir from Miru International School, Hyderabad, Telangana. And sir is the HOD Social Sciences, and the topic of the sir today is educational policy, energized, engaged, and capable faculty. On behalf of Getty Global Education Training Institute and Dr. Sunita Gandhi's initiative, Sunita Gandhi ma'am, as we know, is a renowned name in education. So it's the initiative of Sunita Gandhi ma'am to bring the best minds in the industry to share their experiences, their ideas to all the education people, all the stakeholders of education. So a warm welcome to Sheshu sir on behalf of Global Education Training Institute and initiative of Dr. Sunita Gandhi ma'am. Welcome to the webinar session, sir, as an eminent speaker with us, and it will be a pleasure and honor for us to have you here today. And we really want to know your great ideas on the topic today and your journey of experience of work, sir. Thank you, sir. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. Thank you, Hina ma'am. Thank you very much. It's my honor to get associated with Getty. I have got the opportunity to meet Sunita Gandhi ma'am and talk to her in 2017 18. So now I have been in this teaching industry from past 2008. It's 12 years from now. And this year has been a special year due to this global pandemic. We learned many new things. Today, my topic is energized, engaged, and completely creative faculty. How do we make the faculty engaged? So, I will be talking about what are the concerns the faculty have, what is the suggestion or the government's policy towards removing these particular barriers or hurdles for creative teaching and engaged teaching. So, let us see. I have a presentation. Let me share my presentation. I also did a case study on Singapore's administration and education department, how they have brought certain changes. So we'll have a slighter vein look at Singapore's approach, and then I have one suggestion. So let us see if the suggestion goes well. So I will be sharing my screen. So good evening, everyone. Once again, let me put it full screen. Energized, engaged, and the capable faculty. Today, we are going to look at the challenges faced by the faculty in the higher educational institutions, the possible suggestions or solutions, looking at the closer look at Singapore, and also the advices. What all we can do to make the existing faculty energized, capable, and engaged in their content delivery and research activities. So the objective of this particular session is to find out how to empower the faculty with high competence and deep commitment. So I want to know how many of you know the secret for a successful educational policy to be reaching to the ground level where we set the targets, but who is the one who is going to take it to the ground level and implement it? And why should we focus on the faculty so much? The answer is here. The most important factor in the success of higher education institutions is the quality and the engagement of its faculty. I remember Dr. B.R. Ambedkar telling about the constitution, whether he is writing a good constitution or not. In the last days of drafting the constitution speeches, he tells this statement: see, the constitution can be good or bad, but it is the people who are running the constitution. If they are good, they can make even the bad constitution into a good one. Even I read the world's best constitution. If the bad people are operating it or incapable people are operating it, it will definitely become a bad constitution. So in the similar way, how best our educational policies are there, it is the educational faculty which makes it to reach to the quality and engagement of the students at the ground level. So that is the important factor. That's why we need to focus more on keeping the faculty energized, engaged, and capable. So here is one understanding about the faculty. Not all the faculty members are not creative. There are various initiatives which are taken by the educational department or human resource development centers which are engaging the faculty and training them. There are many happy faculty members who are highly motivated, engaged, and fully committed in achieving the highest levels of excellence. Their dedicated involvement with teaching and research as well as the community gives us immense pleasure and also truly inspirational. So the existence of so many elite faculty members are inspiring us to tell us on an average the faculty empowerment in the terms of teaching, research in the universities and colleges. But there are various factors that lie behind that lower than the desired faculty empowerment levels. Those are the reasons which have to be caught and which has to be erased. Those are the issues which have to be removed in order to have happy, enthusiastic, engaged, motivated faculty member. Each faculty member plays an important role in the delivery of the policies, at the same time the education to reach to the ground level. So we need to look at the concerns and address them seriously. So let me bring out to your notice some of the challenges which are faced by the faculty motivation in the higher educational institutions. One such one challenge is the first one: the physical infrastructure and the service conditions remain less than ideal. The physical infrastructure, when we are talking the physical things, the classrooms, they don't have proper washrooms, they don't have proper drinking water, and they have to deliver the content. See, when you are not comfortable physically, you will not be able to do the delivery properly to the ideal level, to the best of your efforts. So here are the list which are the physical infrastructure lackingness in higher educational institutions. I don't say in all the institutions we have these concerns, but in most of the institutions we have these concerns, like the clean drinking water, working toilets in condition, offices, teaching supplements, laboratories, pleasant classroom ambience, and the campus. This is the first major challenge which we need to erase in order to have a highly motivated faculty. Moving to the second challenge, the service conditions of the faculty members are not adequate. At the current time, we can see most of the institutions, the higher education institutions, are having temporary appointments with low salaries because there they are not able to pay the full salaries. They are not appointing the permanent staff. There is a survey done on this aspect. In the new central universities, we have only 50% of the permanent faculty, and in the new IITs, which are established in the past 3 years, they have only 35% of the permanent faculty. Most of them are on contractual basis or the ad hoc positions, which will not motivate the faculty excuse me, to do the things properly as per their full potential. And this has become a new norm. It is true with both the public and the private higher educational institutions. This is the second major challenge which has to be eradicated and addressed seriously. Moving to the third important challenge, heavy teaching loads. The faculty members are given heavy teaching loads, means 36 hours a week, which means they have to be continuously teaching, and they have a high student ratio, student teacher ratio, that is 1:50. So they have very little time for adequate class preparation. They are not able to teach properly because 36 hours is a huge delivery time, and 50 members is also a huge student teacher ratio which has to be addressed seriously. So The teachers are only engaged and has become a materialistic approach to come to the college or the university, deliver the lecture and leave. They are not participating actively in research activities or any other university activities. So the teaching load has to be balanced along with the other research activities. For the faculty, there is completely lack of autonomy. When it comes to the autonomy, when we are talking, they don't have any say on the curricular matters, pedagogical approaches, or taking service initiatives or starting to do any new research. Every faculty member is either a short term contract employee or a full time employee. Generally, they are not empowered to think in innovative manners. They are not given freedom to think in innovative manners. They are simply handed over the curricula and syllabus to deliver it. They don't have anything to do with the preparation of the curriculum, discussion of the syllabus, what are their inputs, how they want to do it, are there any creative ways, presentation techniques, content, assignments, all are fixed and handed over to the faculty, which is actually stopping them from doing it in a creative way. It is a literally demotivating the faculty members. Now, moving to the most important aspect, faculty motivation is that the career management. We have in other various industries or other sectors, there is a career progression where you reach to higher level, but the faculty don't have that particular career management. It is most demotivating factor for the faculty because the career management is often not based on merit. It is based on seniority, it is based on luck, or it is based on any other arbitrary forces. How can the faculty who is going to play a major role in the lives of the people don't have a clear tenure track record or a career progression in most of the institutions? There is no scientific method of hiring, retention, salary increases, promotions, or the vertical mobility based on the merit and the quality of performance in teaching, especially in research, and their dedication towards their jobs. Incentives have to be given for the outstanding works that the faculty members are doing. It should not be demotivating to them. We should appreciate them for their motivation and commitment towards excellence. This is another serious concern. And coming to the leadership system, the institutional leadership system is completely broken. Institution leaders are not trained or fostered well in advance. They're always based on the merit they come to that position, or sometimes it is through other favorable methods where they come to positions. So this transition between the institutional leaders is too often not smooth, with reports of leadership vacancies for several months or more. There have been news that a particular university vice chancellor is been position has been empty for months. An institutional leadership, by definition, must take the lead in creating a merit based culture, which is lacking. There is a broken system of leadership, which is severely demotivating on the part of faculty as well as on the students. So, the institutional leaders have to be trained properly, well in advance, and they have to be given that approach how to go ahead and encourage and motivate the faculty who are working under them. Few steps initiated in the new educational policy to address the challenges faced by the faculty. Putting faculty back into the heart of higher educational institutions. This is the first step what the new educational policy want to bring in. They want to motivate and energize the faculty to achieve high quality in higher education, and they also want to address all the physical issues what they had, all the service oriented issues, training, teaching, researching, and also services to their communities. We have to empower them. That is the first thing what the new educational policy is trying to look at. It is also wanting to ensure the service conditions conducive to the excellent teaching and research. See, we always think that teaching is the only duty of the faculty members. Unfortunately, in India, we don't stress much on research activities. While I was reading the new educational policy document, I have read a statement by the government of India stating that there is no enough research data available with the Indian school record. It is so sad. We don't have proper researches done on the Indian schools. Being India the largest populated country after China, we have large number of schools. Why can't the research programs be initiated at the school levels? Why can't the teaching faculty participate in the researches and publish papers? Why we have to refer the European or the US research reports? I really felt very bad when I heard this one, because we are still struggling with the lack of basic infrastructure and facilities. As I mentioned, clean drinking water, blackboards, offices, teaching supplies, laboratories. And teachers are also having duties which are excessive, that has to be reduced. Student teacher ratio has to be reduced. Then they will have a pleasant atmosphere and they will have time to interact with students and conducting the researches, where in India we don't have that aim at all. We don't focus on the research activity. We only look at teaching perspective of the faculty. So teacher or a faculty should take one research point every year and possibly publish one or two articles every year, so that we have enough data to do the work in the educational field. Enabling vibrant university communities through faculty and empowerment. To motivate the faculty members, we need to generate a degree of trust among them. We need to give the freedom to create or design their own curriculum. We can give the broader framework and ask the department heads to look into that and create their own curriculum with including the pedagogical approaches. They can decide their syllabi. They can look into the pedagogy, what type of assignments they want to give, how they want to assess the children, what are the latest things that they want to add to that. So this kind of freedom has to be given to the faculty, and faculty must be empowered and also be trained how best to invest their time with respect to research and institutional and service norms. So this has to be seriously taken and followed in all the higher institutions. Incentivizing excellence through merit based career management. The institutional designs decisions regarding the faculty recruitments, retention, salaries, promotions, everything has become a commercial point of view which has to be reduced. The teacher has to be happy first. He delivers the best of his ability. And the institutional leadership should make sure that all the teachers are motivated and they do a quality of teaching, quality of research, and also deliver quality of service. Faculty who do not deliver on the basic norms must definitely be called to be answerable, to be accountable. So the teachers who are doing exceptionally well has to be given incentives. Those who are not doing as per the basic norms have to be brought to the notice of them and tell them what is expected from them. In India, we don't have even this culture. We don't have the faculty meetings, discussions, what is expected from them. Are they delivering that? Are they not delivering it? We don't have that comparative study at all, sadly. And this is very, very crucial point. The tenure track, a robust and a merit-based tenure track, promotions and salary structures, all has to be well developed, and they should have a systematic procedure to assess the performance of a particular faculty member. They should take the peer review, student review, innovations in teaching, and also look at quality and impact of research, what they are doing. That has to be assessed carefully. And the merit based assessment would be used to determine the tenure decisions. There should also be a clear vertical mobility of the faculty members on the basis of merit. If he is merit and extremely talented, you identified them, please train them. When they demonstrate certain amount of merit and leadership qualities, they also need to be trained on the management skills. In further, when they take up the academic leadership positions, they should know how to manage the things. It should not be a disastrous decision there. Only merit on a particular subject cannot make him a good academic leader. He has to be trained. So that mechanism also be brought in place at the higher education institutions, creating a culture of excellence through outstanding institutional leadership. The presence of this idea itself makes the faculty motivated. When you are engaged, when you are happy, when you are demonstrating well, automatically you will be picked up and you will be trained based on your merit and performance based culture. That itself makes the faculty feel they are more valuable and they can climb the ladders of leadership position once they do well in their own academia, in their own academic work. So they can be taken up, they can be trained, then they can be given the opportunity. So we have to value the faculty and support them with excellent preparation and the conducive working environment. So what are the solutions for the demotivating factors for our faculty? These are the solutions, 6-point solution program, that is providing the adequate physical infrastructure and facilities to them. Secondly, we ensure the faculty availability. There are many colleges where they don't have permanent faculty. That has to be addressed. There should be a judicious mix of the capacities within each institution. Within each institution, there should be a judicious mix. The permanent tenure or the employment track for the university staff has to be there, which should be transparent, and they should empower and motivate the institutional culture. It is not individual based, it should be the institutional culture to make the faculty energized and empowering. And they should also have the autonomy for recruiting the best minds in the industry to get them into the field of teaching and research. So this is a 6-point program where in the new educational policy they are aiming to make the faculty as a highly motivated, empowering, energized and the capable one. Let us see. Out of my interest, I feel the faculty development plan has to be initiated in every higher educational institution so that they can determine how the plan is going on with the research. They should have a faculty development plan and also a continuous professional development plan so that the institutions can put in a mentorship program for the young faculty who are coming in, and they should have a self assessment tracking system where they only can understand which areas they need to learn, which areas they need to improve, which areas they need to do extra hard work to become a better mentor for the next faculty member. A national program for professional development of teachers, faculty in higher education will be launched very soon so that the existing faculty members also will get that professional development practice and training for that. Apart from this, we should also initiate the orientation programs for the new faculty which is coming into the system. All the new faculty members should undergo the training programs for this orientation and get familiarized with the culture what we have in our college, in our institution, in our state, in our country, and they know about the programs, courses, good teaching practices at the previous year or in their departments, know about the pedagogical approaches, try to learn about them and become effective part of the team for the higher educational institutions. Each new faculty member, once they enter into the institution, they have to be assigned a faculty mentor who will be mentoring them, guiding them, having a long tenure in the higher educational institutions, and an exemplary track record for them. So I think we need to have these kind of programs in every institution so that the faculty members are hand-holded until they become familiar with the culture and the ethos of the institution, the programs and the courses, and learn the best practices from the institution. And there should be a career compensation management of faculty for other employees. Basing on your work, basing on your activity, there should be compensation, promotions, and also service conditions to all their employees. That should be transparent. There should not be any kind of unnecessary bias decisions which are made in the faculty promotions or in the compensations paid. So, out of my interest, well, I was reading how and best the educational practice are there across the globe. Then I have learned that in Singapore, in the past 20 years, they have brought tremendous changes. And why I should take only Singapore's educational reforms? Why can't we take any other US, UK based, or any European other countries? Because Singapore is a country which is a very small country. I think most of you know, and they have no resources. Their resource is human resource. So they have invested so well in the human resource that has brought the Singapore from third developing countries, I mean third range of countries, to a well developed advanced country. So there is a clear norm here as listed here. There are 100 hours of professional development entitled per year. So 100 hours, which means roughly every week you have 2 to 3 hours you need to participate in professional development. So that keeps the faculty completely engaged with the new changes which are coming. It gives more opportunities. It develops a teachers network, Academy of Singapore Teachers. There is a senior teacher, a master teacher, a research activist, and they have the curriculums based on schools, colleges, training programs. So I brought these points because I don't want India to copy this one, but we can look at the similar guidelines, like how many specific hours a professional has to get engaged, a faculty member has to get engaged per week, per month, and per year, or per term. We can divide and we can check the progress of the faculty member, and we can give them the titles like senior teachers, master teachers, research teachers, or teacher network. We can create that pool of teachers and develop the teachers capacities. You can also see here Singapore has created a system of very high averages after bringing changes in the educational policies and training them in the educational sector. It has resulted in low attrition, more students having vocational technical opportunities, and also closer educational economy. And they have produced outstanding results in the tests conducted by TIMMS and IAEA with reference to science, maths, and language of education. Though they have achieved the best results, they are working since 20 years on this to create a great workforce and also strong work ethics in their collaborative as well as confrontational methods of how to develop their training and retraining them. Government is also investing in the R&D, research and development wing in a larger scale to develop their skills. Though this much is happening, Lee Kuan Yew, former Prime Minister of Singapore in 2011, gives a statement saying that Singapore is still, I quote, Singapore is still a work in progress. Our society kept in cohesion with multiple people, no common language, no common culture, but created a very rare society where people of all races live in the same tower block and now speak on a common language which is not their native language. Though they are doing so well, still they feel that they are still in a work in progress condition. So we need to understand that they are still working to make it better. So even if you say Singapore is a developed country, still they are ready to adopt the changes and look at the things which have to be changed. So my suggestion, what I feel is, we need to have in India the link between the schools, colleges, and universities. Unfortunately, in India, we don't have link between a school and a college. Or if we have school with +1, +2, then only we have the college there. And coming to the universities, before they go to the universities, at the college level, at the school level, why can't the university faculty or the departments have a common link with the school teachers of the same department, college with the same department, and have a common platform where they can share the curriculum, the latest updates, and how it is happening at the university level, so that the school teachers also will know how is the teaching happening at the university level. The college people also will know how the teaching is happening at the school level and how is it happening at the university level, so that they can balance everything and they will be able to teach in a most effective way. This is one benefit what we have. If you link the faculty members of a particular department, let us say English department in the university can conduct a meeting once in a month or fortnightly, or depending on the convenience, they can meet all the colleges English faculty, the school English faculty, for the city or for the town or for the village. Or mostly in villages we don't have. I think for a district we can have this kind of setup, where they can discuss what is the curriculum that is happening at the university level, what is it that happening at the college level, what is it that's happening at the school level, and how can we link these three. And at the university level, if there are any researches that are happening about the education in the school, or the impact of the education in the school, or at the college level, they can ask the faculty members of the colleges and the schools to get involved in the research activities, to understand the best practices which are happening in the industry. If they are facing any difficulty, if they don't have any information, for example, when I deliver a history lesson, I get the information bits and pieces. At the college level, we have little bit more information. At the university level, we have detailed research work done there. So, if a teacher is exposed to the detailed research which is done in the history part about a particular concept, then they will be able to deliver it more effectively, and they will be able to quote the resources also. Similarly, if needed, we can call the university faculty as a guest faculty for a day and ask them to deliver a particular topic which will have a great impact on the lives of the students. Today, we need to create the real world experience connect with the curriculum. I think in most of the things it is not happening. So we need to have the faculty involved in the research which is happening, so that they can also be part of it. They also can understand what are the new changes that are being coming. And there should be immense pressure on the faculty members to be taking researches regularly. Regularly they have to participate in the research work. Regularly they have to give some kind of articles, publish them, or some kind of researches. Let them go through, or let them update what's happening in the US or what's happening in the UK with reference to their particular department, so that the information flows down continuously and it reaches to the ground level, and every child will know what's happening across the globe in this particular subject, in this area, what are the researches that are going on. So I think that could be a very good step, where we can involve the large number of faculty and also reach to each level, so that they can understand each other's concerns and help each other in delivery of the content and also in doing the research work. So I feel this step would help. That's all I have from my end. So thank you very much for listening to me so patiently. Ma'am.
Yes, sir. I'm here for you. Thank you
Yeah.
so much, sir. It was such a great learning. In fact, I have noted down so many different points, especially
Thank
one point wherein you have said, sir, that we do not have the background history of our education system. In that regard, I just wanted to know a little more from your side, because I think the Indian Gurukul system was the best system of learning. Even today, when we give any information regarding the best practice of learning by doing, we give the Gurukul system understanding to the students or to all our teachers. Please, sir.
No, no. What I feel, no, ma'am, we got carried away with this idea of copying the West to a very, very
Yeah,
large extent. See,
yeah.
unfortunately, today, even I am dressing in the Western style of dressing. So we got that impact so deeply within us that we feel always we need to copy what's happening in Europe, what's happening in USA, what's happening in the other countries. We never know that in Nalanda, there were 10,000 foreign students came here and studied.
Hmm.
10,000 foreign students came to India and studied. I think we need to bring back that kind of days where the foreign children will come to India and learn about India. And
Sir,
yes, ma'am,
yeah,
please,
yeah.
please.
Please, sir. Please, we want to hear
I
from you, sir.
feel I feel no, we need to encourage more of research at the school level, at the college level, and at the university level. Because in the new educational policy opening remarks, it was mentioned we don't have proper data about our schools, which is so sad. I think I should personally thank Sunita ma'am, where she encourages the teachers to take a point and do research. I have met her personally. She told me, I want them to do research. I will not get involved in the middle. Let them do research. I am okay if they are not getting good result out. Let them
Uh,
focus on that. I think
sir,
that
we are,
culture should come to every school. Okay, we are
yeah.
running short of time.
No, no, no,
Okay,
sir.
okay.
Please, sir. Please go ahead. It is honor listening to you, sir. Please.
Yeah. So I feel no, like how Sunita ma'am is encouraging all the faculty to do research on one point. Ma'am, as a teacher or as a faculty member, when I get a lot of children, I understand them for a year and I just go out. Next year, I get a next batch. The next batch or the next faculty who is coming to handle this particular batch, where is the data for him? By
Hmm.
the time he understands, it becomes 3 to 4 months.
Yes. True.
Afterwards, he wastes or he spends some time in understanding them. He will teach them. In 6 months, he will understand and he will tune to them, or students will get tuned to them. But again, there is no data record of this. So a student who is extraordinarily connected with that particular faculty member will definitely miss that connect.
True.
One
True.
teacher, one day lecture can make a lot of difference in the child's mind.
Of
One
course.
teacher, one incident, one moment, one particular talk of a teacher with the child. How effectively, see, this all happens when the teacher is happy or the faculty is happy. The faculty himself is confused. He is not clear whether he will continue or not. He don't know about his tenure. These all things doesn't give a proper delivery of the content. He becomes mechanical. Okay, I have to come and teach. So I will come and teach. Today I am going to teach what is history. History is a story, study of the past. That's why today we came to a situation where people are saying history should not be taught. There is no use in studying history. We came to listen to that arguments. So
Hmm.
sad, ma'am, so sad. See, the Britishers have destroyed our history, and
I
people
agree.
started to think what all they have written that is right. Macaulay, in his opening statements, he writes, "In India, length and breadth I
Yes.
traveled. I cannot see
Yeah.
a poor person."
Yes.
Then
Yes.
it itself shows that how great our culture is. I agree. There might be some caste discriminations, which we can sort it within ourselves. We don't need an extra thing to do that. Now we have educational people, all are getting educated, so we can understand that. And I can offer simple solution, madam, for this caste discriminations or reservations.
Yes,
Just
sir.
put a condition: in lifetime only once you have to use this benefit. Either you get a job, either you get a job, or you take a business loan for with that particular reservation and do your business. And once you take this, you will not be given any more reservations. So I think we can extend this and remove all the other reservations. Economically also we can grow them and develop others also. There are so many people other than the SC, ST who are economically backward in our country.
Yes.
Nobody is
100% agree.
addressing that. Nobody is addressing that. Ma'am,
True.
why we need a big temple, big statues, ma'am? We need hospitals. In this pandemic time, there are no beds, no
Yeah.
kits, no PPE
True.
kits. So
No
how
PP
sad
kids.
is our situation? And
Yeah.
everybody is busy with Ram Mandir, Ayodhya, or this case or that case. I really don't understand sometimes. I am not against them, but there should be a university standard which is like Nalanda University, where India's culture, India is a great country, which world should come to know that.
Of course, totally agreed, sir. I was just thinking, one of my spokesperson, I remember the lady, ma'am from Madhya Pradesh, Kavita Trivedi, ma'am. She has done a
Okay.
webinar on happy teachers. So,
Okay.
in the entire webinar, it was talking about a happy teacher itself. You know, it is so much of connectivity, and that things motivate. Like, if I am happy, I bring that happiness into the classroom. The children go home and go give that entire happiness at home, and the entire community, people around you, every becomes happy. Coming to the motivation side, of course, it should not be that the teacher should be only monetary benefited. In today's world, a teacher's caliber is more on how much he knows. Teaching is the base career. It is this year the professional development of the teachers is very, very important. I just want to add that with Getty, with the vision of Dr. Sunita Gandhi ma'am, we are coming up with beautiful teacher training programs for the teachers. And as ma'am is a visionary lady,
I
she
know.
believes in that the teachers should first learn, then teach, and then share their
Yes.
experiences, share their thoughts, and share everything which comes to them, and it's like it will go in the air just like a fragrance. And this on this ideology of learn and teach and share, we are coming up with beautiful teachers training program. I think teaching profession needs to be upgraded every now and then, because there's so many technologies.
Serious.
As
Seriously.
an educationalist, you will believe that in the during the lockdown, the teachers were the ones who have learned the most, from in-house classroom chalkboards to online classrooms and whatnot,
You
number of
you don't
applications
believe.
and everything.
I started to sit for the first time only during lock time and teach, because
Okay.
general teachers don't sit and teach. They
Yeah.
always stand and deliver the lessons.
Yeah, yeah,
Initially,
true.
it was so difficult for me to sit and teach.
I
Seriously,
agree,
I
agree.
could not sit and teach for a week.
Yeah,
See, teachers learn how to do the operations, computers, then started to know Google Classrooms, Zoom. They tried lots on things, and then now we are able to give webinars and understand them through webinars,
yeah,
certain programs and all. It's
yeah.
really blessing in a disguise. But
True,
the
true.
pace also should match to them. A teacher cannot be hungry and deliver a quality lesson. That cannot
Yes, yes,
across
yes.
the country. See, the government has to ensure there are private schools, government schools at different levels. So everywhere at universities, everywhere they should have a stable faculty who are good in research. Ma'am,
Yeah,
yesterday I think today only in the news they were coming with new rapid test kit, where a
yeah.
professor is come up with a 30 minutes test kit. So if the faculty is encouraged, they will
True.
definitely do wonders.
Of
And they
course, of
should be the
course.
people who should be involved for any problem. If you have a problem in administration, let them get involved, the administration experts. Call the university faculty, discuss with them, and give
True.
them some time. Tell us these are the parameters what we want. So it
Yeah,
has to be like that. See, one classic example we have is Manmohan Singh,
yeah,
an academician who did so
yeah,
fantastically. So I
yeah,
think our culture should approach should change. It's not only doctors and engineers that the
yeah.
jobs parents are agreeing as the best jobs. It should be a teacher who is a happy teacher. See, you make an
So,
impact on thousands of lives.
true. So teaching is the profession, as we know, that teaches all the profession. And if you want to develop other professions, you have to first develop the teaching profession. Unless and until you make your base strong, your teachers strong, you cannot have a strong nation at all. It is not possible. As you were talking about reservations, sir, I heard from one of the economists in America, when he came to India, he said that you take the reserve, I take the deserve. And as we know, all the great minds of India, they move abroad because they do not get the right thing. So he openly said it, you take the reserve, I take the deserve. And I think your idea is brilliant, that your reservation should be used only once there are people who are really economically too
So
backward and
kind,
they need
so
to be
rich.
have.
Do we have to stop that? I saw one question from Santosh, I think. Sir, I
Okay.
think new educational policy will definitely address the needs of the special cases
Huh.
or special needs, because in the new educational policy itself, we have at the primary levels, the early child education, multiple language introduction, teaching in the mother tongue, and also focusing on mathematical logics from the ages up to 8 years. I think there itself we can address all the key concerns. The less the child age is, the more the complications can be sorted. The age becomes more, the special needs we cannot address them. ADHD or any
Yeah,
of the concerns can be
dyslexia,
sorted out.
dyslexia, and
Dyslexia,
all that.
all these things can be sorted. Ma'am, we are putting a lot of pressure on the children. To be honest,
True.
we
Agreed.
are putting
Agreed.
3 years child also. He has a test. He has to write. Why all these things? I have studied the Finnish educational system, Finland. They don't have homework at all.
Yes. Yes.
Why we are stressing them so much? They,
Sir,
they have
our
homework
master,
every day.
yeah, our master trainer, James, sir, who is the
Yeah,
Getty
I know
master
him.
trainer,
I
James
know
and
him.
Mary ma'am, they
I know
say
him.
that the worst thing that can happen in the classroom is writing.
Yes,
And in the recent past, I have seen the X-ray of the child, or 2.5 years, 3 years old child, which says that their bones are so fragile, they are not actually practically made to be written. We have to develop their motor skills, fine motor skills, gross motor skills. And as we see in Japan, the education written system only comes after age of 7 years, once the bones are developed well. है ना, sir?
yes.
So we really, have to
I don't
go
know
back.
what kind of mad race we are putting ahead for the children. You have to get admission 2 years before, 3 years before. What is this going on, ma'am, with our education system? Increase the number of schools, increase the quality. And
Quality.
I really don't understand. I hope, let us hope, Santosh sir, the new educational policy will justify the needs of the children. And see, the
Sure.
policy is really fantastic. But the question comes, how will it be implemented?
Implementation is a challenge.
Is really a challenge because in the clause itself they mentioned the school has a right to choose whether they will teach in the mother tongue or not. Now, when you
Hmm.
give this kind of open options, which private school will allow them to teach in mother tongue? You let me know. Maybe in KVs
No,
or JNUs they may teach, but in the private schools they want to do business.
they
They
want,
don't.
even the parents mindset is, oh, my child is not able, because in India the most unfortunate thing is, English is not a language, it is a skill.
And
In
it is
India
a
it's a
very
skill.
prestigious thing that my child speaks in English. That
Yeah.
has to happen. In my neighborhood, they should speak that he's studying in so and so school. He's doing so and
The
so thing. This copycat
prestige.
mentality should go up, ma'am. Otherwise, we cannot. And teachers
Actually,
also should give that information to the child. You can do wonderful things with anything you like. Anything you
yes.
like. You can do wonderful things. And you should be
True.
happy with that. Today,
Yeah,
we have
happy.
successful people, but they are not happy.
True, true, true,
Why
true.
they are not happy, they only don't know. They only don't know because nobody told him what could be the reason.
Hmm.
Seriously, I think
I totally agree. I think that as educationalists, sir, like ma'am is a visionary lady, we all know that. I think we need more like-minded people to join hands and first educate parents that, see, English is just a language, not a skill. First thing, your child has to learn morals, etiquettes, values first, and then the other things. His career can be anything he wants, and he can be successful in whatever he does with happiness. So it was a great learning, sir. Great learning, sir. And I
so
think
I
we
would
are
like
now,
to close with last
yeah,
statement.
yes,
See,
sir.
education should not be for earning money, madam. Simple thing. It has to be earning for your choice of job. Money will flow afterwards when
Yes.
you are happy. See, even if you are not happy, you are an IIT graduate with 1 crore package. You are not feeling well. You are depressed. You start to open a bank account in the hospital where you start to deposit your salary there. What is the point of getting that kind of life?
Mm.
When you are happy, though you get little bucks, you will have that grace in you.
True.
That
You
grace
should
should be
be
there.
passion of whatever you
Yes.
do. I
I
think
think,
it was immense loving pleasure for me to have a great discussion with you, sir. It was real good, and we really look forward great minds like you to be a part of the Getty, innovations and all these things you have been already associated with the. Thank you so much, Seshu sir. It's an honor with us. Have a great day. Thank you, audience. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, team. Have a great day. Bye bye.
bye bye.